It's been a while. My name is Lynn, and this is the Wayward Skein podcast. This is episode 65, sort of, kind of. um, it's been a really long time. It's been at least a month since my last episode. I came down with the flu in February, so that was super fun. And even though I wasn't contagious anymore after about a week, the cough just stayed for 3 weeks at least. So it was super fun. And I work in a grocery store, so you can imagine the dirty looks I was getting from people as I was standing there, coughing into my elbow in the store during all this. I actually had somebody go up to my manager and say that I should be fired because obviously I was sick and I shouldn't be at work. So it's been an interesting month. Coping is so-so. I mean, I'm one of the lucky people. I'm still getting paid. I'm technically working from home, but there's not a lot of my job that I can actually do from home. I am an administrative assistant, so my job is 100% tied to what my boss does. And she's obviously not going to meetings, and I can't access the system at work because I don't have access to that because I'm not a work from home person. So it's been super fun trying to get a sort of sense of purpose, I guess, since all this started. Yesterday, I actually managed to review a fairly lengthy document. And so I was like, yay, I'm useful. I'm not really, but it was sort of a little pat on the head. Here, you just do this. Stay busy. It wasn't really. I mean, it's part of my job. It's what I do. I proofread and edit documents that are sent to my boss. So anyway, sorry about the super huge glare out there. It's not even bright out. It's super overcast and it's dark in here, but for some reason in this room, everything gets blown out. Probably because I have super bright white bulbs in here, and that doesn't help either. I'm still working on getting the space in there set up. It's a lot of reworking and getting rid of a lot of stuff. So, because my bedroom has always been the place where things that didn't fit anywhere else in the house went. So there were boxes and there were, piles of stuff, and it's mostly cleaned up now, except for Mount Laundry. We all have a Mount Laundry, don't we? Please tell me we all have a Mount Laundry. Anyway, so yeah, I'm still getting the space in there set up and trying to figure out how I want to work it so that it doesn't look like the problem is the corner I want to do this in is where my stack of bins of fiber is sitting. And quite frankly, it's not a pretty background. I mean, it's no worse than this. But anyway, so this is a knitting podcast. We talk about knitting and yarn and stuff here. And it's been a month, so I've actually got some progress to show you. But before we get into that, I do have some stash. I haven't bought anything. Well, okay, technically I bought one of them. Where'd I put it? I sent it. Oh, there. Wow, I'm so not used to looking at it that I don't recognize it when I see it. So I ordered this, and my friend Brandy Miller paid for half of this, and I paid for the other half. It was from back in January, or just after. Yeah, it was just after I got home from Rob's at Christmas. And it took a while to get here, but it got here. These are minis, and they come in this cute little pouch. Isn't this adorable? Totally worth the price, because they were super cheap too. So these are minis from Mad Science Dye and Fiber on Etsy. She is currently temporarily. I don't know how long she's going to be closed, but so, and the minis come stuffed in this little baggie. So I've got this gorgeous dark red one. I've got a little blue and green one. There's two of these white ones. This is a nice bluish gray. This adorable. This reminds me of it makes me think of unicorns. It's blue with it's purple with a little bit of teal tossed in. This is a very, very dark purple with blues and greens. You can actually see it far better than I can. This is a charcoalish gray with little bits of white, an orange and yellow. Yes, I'm still going. Another one of these. This is almost, yeah, these are identical. So there's two of these. And which I'm fine with because that means I can share. There's the other white one. There's two more in here. This is another one of these. So there's two of these. I hadn't noticed there were doubles when I first opened it. And another red one. So I've got a few doubles so I can share. I'm going to try and stuff all these back in here now. Way to go. Take it all out and then have to put it all back in. So there's a couple of individual ones in there, unique ones, but about half of them I'd say are doubles. They really have to be smushed in there to fit in the pouch. There we go. There. They fit in the pouch. So she sends this adorable little fabric bag that she puts them in, which I will find some use for at some point. Maybe it will be my traveling minis bag. Well, no, because my needles don't fit in here. We'll see. I'll figure out what I'm going to use it for. So I ordered that back in January. I got it mid-February-ish. So her Etsy group, or her Etsy shop says that it takes 2 weeks. It took a little bit longer than that, but I knew they were coming. I knew she was having trouble. She was sick over the holidays and had a lot of, got backed up a little bit. So I knew they were coming and I wasn't worried. I chatted with her and I said, look, take however long you want. I understand how, I understand how things get. My life's insane. So, it wasn't a big deal. So they came and they're gorgeous and I love them and I can share, which makes me happy. So, yeah, I ordered that. Now, I'm going to open this beautiful thing. These are actually two different colors. Very, very similar, but this one's darker than this one. I got contacted by Tina Martinez, who was the dyer behind Bittersweet Wooleries, who you will all know was one of my favorite yarns. And I would always come back from Rhinebeck with some of her yarn. This sock yarn in particular is fabulous. Tina decided to close Bittersweet Woolery a few years ago due to her health. She has MS, and she was unable to keep up with the physical demands of owning a yarn dyeing business. So she contacted me a few weeks ago and said, so I'm going to be selling off the last of my stock. You want in? And I was like, yeah, except the whole reason I work 70 hours a week and have two jobs is because I can't, I don't have a lot of spending money sort of thing. And I have expenses that need to be covered and so on and so forth. So anyway, I have two jobs and I don't have extra money for yarn. And Rob said, pick 3, I will buy them for you. I'm spoiled, so spoiled, because he knows exactly how much yarn I have. And he knows I don't need any more. But he also knows that this was my last chance to get my hands on some of this stuff. And I've been jealously hoarding the stuff that's already in my stash. So he bought me 3 skeins. Because I'm spoiled. So, and I'm very, very thankful that I have a fiance who is willing to, shell out his hard-earned money to buy me pretty string. So this is there's 2 skeins of Guilty Pleasures in here and 1 skein of Stardust lace, which is a sparkly lace. I have another skein of Stardust. It's somewhere in my stash. I think it's yellow, like a bright yellow. This is Guilty Pleasures. It is a 75-25 merino wool nylon. I don't know where she got her base, but oh my God, is this stuff soft. It is the nicest yarn I have ever knit with in my entire life. with the possible exception of Tilting Planet's Apollo sock, which is actually softer than this. So this is my favorite sock yarn. It's blowing out totally. This is actually a mid-teal, a medium teal. It's a little bit greener than it looks here. Probably because there's so much green in the background, it's blowing it out. So this is Inby Teal, but I don't get the color name. I don't think that was the color name that she had on Facebook. Hey, George. No. Sorry. She loves chewing on plastic bags. I try not to leave them on the floor. I've left one on the floor and she's munching away at it. Anyway, sorry, cats. So this one is Inby Teal. I'm not sure what's up. Oh, maybe I'm getting it wrong. Do you guys see anything different? I mean, it's cursive, so I was having a little bit of difficulty. Come on, focus. You can do it. There we go. So I think it says Inby Teal. And then I've got, sorry, I got to reach because it's the bottom one. This one is Paradiso, which is a darker teal. You can see when they're side by side that this one's a lot darker. So this one's Paradiso, and it is gorgeous, and I love it. You guys know me in teal, right? Like I can resist. It's so squishy. And then I got this skein of pewter in Stardust Lace, and you can totally see the sparkle coming out in that. So this one is an 80-25 Merino Silk and Stellina. I didn't even realize it was silk. It is so soft. It's amazingly soft. And it's 875 yards. I have an idea what I'm going to make with this. I have a lot of patterns for lace weight shawls. I've never actually knit with lace weight. Yes, I have. I have to. Anyway, but I have a couple of patterns that I have in mind for this. So I'm super happy. I didn't even realize it was silk. Look how gorgeous that is. I know I have a pretty good idea what I'm doing with this. And the sparkle is coming up really good. So these are going back in the bag because they live in a bag because I live in a basement. And one of the things that you get living in a basement in this area is cellar spiders. These are big ass spiders. They look like daddy long legs, so they're like not scary at all, but they're everywhere. And I don't want them getting in my yarn. So all my yarn is wrapped up and is in plastic bins on top of being in Ziploc bags. So I have one more thing to show you, and I swear to God, I did not buy this either. I have so much yarn coming into the house, and I didn't buy any of it. So I have, and this will seg right into my works in progress. Oh, wow, my split ends are super visible on camera. Yay! From Fiber Stash, Christy of Fiber Stash sent me a package at Rob's, and it was waiting for me when I got there, and he was like, "What did you do?" And I was like, "I didn't do it." So Christy from Fiber Stash contacted me and asked me if I would knit her a booth sample. Now, this was originally supposed to be payment for room and board at New Hampshire Sheep and Wool. Sort of. Basically, Christy and her husband are far too generous, and yeah. So they were going to let me stay with them at New Hampshire Sheep and Wool at this gorgeous little lake house that they rent every year. New Hampshire Sheep and Wool has now been canceled. Oh, postponed. Whatever. Sorry, I'm just going to grab a sip here. No tea today because my son turned the heat up in here. I'm dying. You can tell I like teal. That's more greenish, but anyway, so this was supposed to be my way of paying my room and board at New Hampshire Sheep and Wool, which is now not going to happen, but I'm still thrilled to do it. First I'll show you the yarn. So she sent me one skein of this, which is her Twinkle Toes base, and you can just barely see the sparkle in that one. Yeah, there we go. It is Great Scott in her Twinkled Toes base. And this is Temple of Sap. Look at this gorgeousness. It is Temple of Sap, also in her Twinkled Toes base. Look at those colors. It looks really dark and monotonous when you stick them together like this. But oh my God, you would not believe how this is knitting up. I'll show you in a minute. So I saw first, we're going to seg right into works in progress. So I first saw this pattern when a friend of mine was test knitting it. And as soon as I saw the test knit, I was like, oh, I need to knit that. Now, I don't wear a lot of hand knits. I just don't. I'm a naturally warm person, and I'm always too hot to wear hand knits. It happens on very, 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 very rare occasions. I will wear my hand knit socks. I wear my mittens when it's super cold out. I don't wear hats. They just slide right off my head because my hair just, I don't know. I don't wear hats. I don't wear scarves. I will occasionally wear one of my small shawls as a scarf when it's super cold out, but not very often. I'm just not a hand knit person, which is ironic. But because, you know, it's a post-apocalyptic life skill, I'm going to keep everybody around me warm. But I don't wear hand knits. So I saw this shawl and I was like, I must knit this. So this is sort of a win-win because Christy really wanted the shawl. And the designer happens to be a Vermont designer. Christy's in Shelburne, Vermont. Or Shelburne or Colchester? I think she's in Colchester. Right, the store is in Shelburne, Vermont. Must Love Yarn is in Shelburne. It's all Burlington to me. I don't know. There's no like delineations when you leave one town and come into another. It's all one big area. So there's no rural in between. So it's confusing to me. So anyway, there is, the designer actually chose the colors for this because Christy loves the shawl, really wants the shawl. I wanted to knit the shawl, but it would just lay around my house afterwards. So this is win-win. I didn't have to pay for the yarn. Christy gets a shawl out of the deal, and nothing's going to be laying around my house at the end of it all. And maybe I'll have enough for a couple of minis. So I am knitting the Butterfly Shawl by Marin, and I'm probably going to butcher this, Melchior. She's Marinia on Ravelry. So I'm almost done section 1, and of course I've shed on it already. Sorry, Christy. You're going to get some of my hair with this. It's guaranteed. So this is the most of section 1. I think I have 2 more sections to do. Look at how this is turning out. Isn't it gorgeous? Don't you just love those 2 colors together? So it is a short row shawl. It's garter. So there's no purling. Mandy of Mandy Pinecone Crafts is the person who does a lot of Christie's booth samples. And she looked at this and went, nope, I'm not in that. Because she thought it was, she doesn't like purling. And she thought it was in stockinette. It's not. It's in garter, which is convenient. So this is the front side. This is the back side, which looks almost as cool as far as I'm concerned. I love the way it's turning out. But so I'm almost at the end of section 1. I finished page 1 of the 7-page pattern. The section 1 is 2 pages. So there are 3 main sections to the shawl, and they get a lot bigger from here because this is a huge shawl. So it has not seen a lot of love this week because the back and forth and so on and so forth. My computer setup here is not ideal, and it's been causing me some arm and shoulder pain. So I haven't been knitting as much this week, working from home, but working from home, yes. I basically just sit here and look pretty. So anyway, section 1 is almost done. I'm addicted to this. It's gorgeous and I love it. But as this no longer has the deadline of New Hampshire Sheep and Wool, and my other project does have a definite deadline, I've been working a little bit more on it. But before I get into that, I will show you the other project. Oh, sorry, that's done on US 4, which is a 3.5 millimeter needle. Um, you guys saw my finished sock. I showed it to you, and that's rather phallic. I don't think I'd be doing pearl soles anymore because look at that. That's unfortunate. Hopefully that will block out. It should. It's just because it's curling in where I switched from pearls to knits for the toe, but it should block out. Hopefully, because that's very unfortunate. Anyway, this was my own design. They're called the straight and narrow socks because of these nifty little lines they have going down the middle, but the difference between my pattern and the 60,000 others that are on Ravelry right now is that it's purled in between, and it's got this nifty purled sole because I'm a special snowflake and I don't like pearl bumps against my feet. So this is an experiment to see if I like the knit side on the inside of the sock better. So this is living in a bag that my friend Selma made me. Pretty sure this was Selma. This was long before Little Creek Designs existed. So this was one of her first bags. And I'm pretty sure it's Selma. Pretty sure. Anyway, and I'm using a little needle keeper from Kim at Chasing Acorns. Sorry, you can see her little tag there. It's this really cute little cactusy houseplanty one. One of the saddest things for me about not being able to go to work, I know all my plants are dead now. I'm a big baby, but I'm really sad that all my plants are dead. Anyway, I was like, can't I just go into the building and water the plants? My boss was like, no. Yeah. There we are. I'm so sad we had just revived Frank from his first apocalyptic fail. Poor Frank is what the heck is he called? It starts with an F because I name all my plants phonetically or alliteratively. God, I can't talk today. Anyway, so Frank is a tropical rainforest ground cover plant, so he requires a lot of water and not a lot of light, which is why he was a perfect office plant because I don't have a window. So Frank had died over the weekend one week. I had watered him on Wednesday or Thursday, forgot to water him on Friday, and when I came in on Monday, he was crispy. He's a sulky toddler at the best of times. As soon as he needs water, he just, everything flops. But this time he had gone crispy too. So I was just like, oh, Frank's dead. I killed Frank. My coworker, Susan, convinced me not to bin him and to just keep watering him and see what would happen. And after a few weeks, he started putting out little leaves. Little teeny, tiny leaves. And now he was doing well when I left the office 2 weeks ago. Well, 1.5 weeks ago. Poor Frank. And then I bought a Frank Jr. because I was going to replace Frank because I bought Frank for my boss. And he lived in her office and she has a closed door. So like no light gets in there. So I had bought a little replacement, a little teeny one. And it was beautiful and it was gorgeous and it's probably dead too. I'm very sad. I know my pothos will probably survive the apocalypse, and he's probably fine, but yeah, Frank, not so much. And, well, the shamrock, all you gotta do is, like, raise it down to the ground and water it, and it'll pop right back up, so that I'm not concerned about, but I'm so sad about Frank and Frank Jr. Anyway, long tangent, sorry. When I was going to Chicago, I started sock number 2. I knew that I was going to be bored out of my gourd if I was on a plane with no knitting. As it turned out, I slept most of the way. But I was also going to meet up with some pocket friends that I had not met before from Ravelry. So I got to meet up with some fabulous, fabulous ladies, and we had a great time. And Annie completely outdid herself feeding us snacks because holy crap, lady, all the snacks were there. And so we had great fun knitting and chatting and so on and so forth. And I started the second sock on the plane. I got the cuff done on the way down. I got the leg done at the afternoon knitting with those ladies. And I got the heel done, the heel flap done on the way home. The heel turn and the 2 rows that I've done since were done on the bus to and from work. And that was about it. That's all I've gotten done. I haven't touched it since I've been at home, basically, because you're inside the heel. You're not supposed to be inside the heel. Because I've been concentrating on these other 2 projects for obvious reasons. So I did get some work done on the sock. This is done in a sadly discontinued yarn. It's called Mia Bella Kitten Sock. Mia Bella is a store in Highland Park, Illinois. They do have their own yarns, which are absolutely gorgeous. This base is no longer one of them. So this was just the kitten sock in blue. It was her first year dyeing. She was at Stitches Midwest. I bought a skein. They're done on 1.5 US, which is a 2.5 millimeter. And I will stop talking about these socks now. That's all I got left. So I've got the leg done. I've got the heel done. I'm partway through the decreases for the gusset. I was going to talk to you guys about my baby's mitered square blanket, but honestly, it hasn't seen any love in at least since the day after I recorded last, so I'm not going to show it. But what I've been spending most of my time on, and this is significantly bigger than it was, but you really can't tell because it just looks like a really big bag. This is my lace chuppah. It's really starting to come together. You can actually see the lace pattern now. A little bit, sort of. So you're starting to see the lace pattern and it's starting to get complicated. I'm almost at the end of chart 2, so chart 1. So here's chart 1, here's chart 2. The whole thing has 142 rows. I'm on row 63. So I've made some progress. When I've left off, I think I was about here the last time I showed this to you guys. So about here. I have to do 2 rows at a time, no more than 2 rows at a time, because otherwise my arms start to seize up. And my physiotherapist yells at me. And I'm also very sad because I'm not going to see my physiotherapist for at least a month. I love my physiotherapist. He's amazing. And I don't know if you guys remember, but about a year and a half ago, I couldn't lift my arm higher than here. My shoulder was completely messed up, and I can feel it starting to tighten up again because I've been knitting a lot. And this computer setup is not ideal. I really wish I could just go to the office and bring my chair home and use my office chair because this thing is super uncomfortable. And I don't have a desk, so my computer actually sits on a chair with a bunch of dictionaries underneath it. Yeah, this is my professional setup, people. If you could see what I'm looking at right now, you would laugh your butts off. So anyway, I was about here, the last one I left off. I've changed skeins since then. Finally made it through the first skein. So this is the pattern is called Lace Chuppah. It's by Cat Coyle. It was published in Interweave Knits Summer 2007 issue. It is a gorgeous pattern. I'm loving it so much. I've actually seen the chuppah frame we'll be using because the temple has their own chuppah frame. And so I've seen the frame it's going to fit on. I'm not going to put the fringe on. I'll show you sorry. It's not a very good picture because there's not a lot of contrast here, but you can sort of see what it's supposed to look like. I'm not going to put the fringe on because our chuppah frame is 6 feet across, I think, or it's 4.5 feet across. This thing's supposed to block out to 70 inches per side. So it's going to have about a foot of overhang on all sides. So I'm not going to put the fringe on. Ours is a freestanding frame. It's not 4 poles held up by people. So that's the difference here. This one was 4 poles that were being held by people. And ours is just a freestanding structure. So I'm not going to put the fringe on, which means I'm going to have yarn left over, but that's fine. It's not a big deal. Sorry. I realize I'm umming and emming a lot. Like it bugs me. And I'm actually a fair bit through skein 2. Like they're significantly bigger when they're full. So this is more than half of the second skein. I'm going to have to locate the rest of the yarn very shortly. It's in my room somewhere. I'm just not sure if I've put it in the closet or if it's in one of the fiber bins. It might be in one of the fiber bins. There actually might be some in 2 different places because I bought it in 2 batches. It is the same color. I brought a swatch of the old stuff to match, and it's exactly the same. It's a natural undyed yarn-ish, I think. So this is Bartlett Yarns. They're a mill in Maine, a yarn producer / mill, because they also will process your wool for you. So it's Bartlett Yarns. This is their Aran weight, 2-ply in oatmeal. I have 2,000 yards of this. See, what happened was originally I miscalculated and about 1,200 yards. And then I looked at the pattern again and I was like, oh no, I need 2,000. Wait a minute. 6 skeins wasn't 2,000, it was 1,200 because it's 200 yards a skein, 214 or so. So I had to go back the next year and buy some more. And thankfully they still had it and it was exactly the same and I've had no problems. First skein was from the first batch, second skein was from the second batch, and you can't tell. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be fabulous if I manage to get into the States for the wedding. This is a large source of my stress right now. Anyway, and this is done on a US 13, which is a 9mm needle. And I'm apparently going to have to move up a needle size or a needle length again because this is just a really big bag. Look at this. I could actually just put all the yarn in here and just keep it in there. Anyway, so this is a large source of my stress right now, is that I'm trying to plan a wedding, but I'm not sure it's going to happen. I mean, I know it's going to happen, but I don't know if it's going to happen when we're intending it to happen. So fortunately, the only vendor that we've had to place a deposit with is the photographer, and she is perfectly okay with rescheduling if things go pear-shaped. Yeah, so one of the things that I've been stressing about is that I don't know when Rob and I are going to get to see each other again. I was supposed to be driving down to Chicago next weekend to stay for 10 days for Passover, and that's not going to happen now. I'm a little stressed out about it. It's freaking me out a little bit. Actually, I think it's this weekend I was supposed to leave because Passover is on the 6th. It's on the 8th. No, so it is next weekend. It was the 3rd I was going to leave and stay there for several days, a week and a bit. Have our second meeting with the rabbi and all that fun stuff. And yeah, the border's closed. I can't go down there. It's freaking both of us out a little bit that we have no idea when we're going to get to see each other again. And we kind of wish we were writing this out together, but it is what it is. There's only so much we can do. So, I mean, he would have liked for me to be down there when they closed the borders but I have to be here to be able to get my medication and so on and so forth. I can only get my medication 4 to 6 weeks at a time. So yeah, it's a little weird. We talk to each other a couple of times a day because he's obviously at home too. He's working from home, and so it's weird. We've always had a next visit in mind, and now we just don't. I was supposed to go down for Passover. He was supposed to come up for Memorial Day. We don't know if either of those things is going to happen. We don't know if we're going to be able to see each other before the wedding. So it's stressful. We're lucky in that we're both being paid during this time, during this not being able to go to work thing. I've been at home from the grocery store since Sunday. I worked last week at the grocery store. I'm not working this week. I'm in a higher risk group. I'm diabetic and I have EDS, both of which are high risk groups. So he was a little uncomfortable with me continuing to work, during all this. So he actually sent me what I would have made working to cover whatever bills, etc. I have, so that I would stay home this week. My store is planning on installing plexiglass shields. The cashiers no longer touch anything from the outside. So we don't touch reusable bags. We don't touch cash. We don't touch your Air Miles card to swipe it. We touch nothing, except your groceries. We bag in our own paper bags, which quite a few people had a problem with last week. Sunday was the day we stopped taking reusable bags, and cash, and people lost their minds. Sorry, I've gotten super, super congested just talking. Yay, allergy season. So this one guy actually threw his bag on the floor because we told him that we were no longer able to accept reusable bags, that we would put it in our own bags. And so he decided to buy one of our store's reusable bags and literally threw it at me. And I just kind of looked at him like, really? Are you 5? Really? I didn't say anything, but it was just like, really? Over a bag? Last week was very stressful at the store. The majority of people are trying their best to be polite and nice to us as they stockpile for the apocalypse. Because this is literally what people's groceries look like. It's like one lady bought an entire grocery cart full of dried beans. A whole cart. I don't know. I mean, I will admit that I stocked up on frozen vegetables. Like, this was about a week before all this happened. There was a really good sale on frozen vegetables, so I bought a whole bunch. And the last day I was at work, we were having a really good sale on chicken legs. They were 99 cents a pound, so I bought some like 15 pounds worth. Because my thought process was, okay, we're going to get really sick of chicken legs, but we'll be eating. And I do have a fair number of dried beans and legumes and pulses and whatever you want to call them in my cupboard from years ago. Like, I've got dried lentils that I've had for a couple of years. I've got steel cut oats that I've had for at least 3. I have dried peas that I bought in the fall to make pea soup with, and I haven't bought ham since. I keep forgetting to buy ham. And so I've got all this stuff stockpiled. Like, my mother has at least a year's worth of food stockpiled in her basement. What I have will probably get us through a couple of months. So we're doing all right. But one of the first things I did when I realized I wasn't going to be going out to do groceries on a weekly basis the way I normally do, was I took stock. I looked in my fridge, I looked in my freezer, I looked in my cupboards. I checked what I had. I figured out what I would need. I bought soup-based bouillon cubes because I didn't have any of those. And that's I usually use the liquid broth, but it's very bulky and takes up a lot of space. Whereas the bouillon cubes are a teeny, teeny little box and don't take up a lot of space at all. And I can keep them in my spice cupboard and it works out well. Um, so basically, rather than buying fun stuff, I mean, I did buy some fun stuff and snacks and stuff that lasted a while, but I knew I wasn't going to go back out this week. I did my groceries. I did my ex's groceries on Sunday because we hadn't done groceries that week. And I had just picked up the chicken, which is pretty much all I bought before I left the store. But I did his groceries before I left the store because I was like, okay, tell me what you need now because I'm not coming back. So I made sure that his cats had food for a few weeks. My cats have food for a few weeks. I just don't want to go out as often as we normally do. Rob and I have been going out for walks around the neighborhood in the afternoon on the phone. um, 2 days ago was really challenging because it was super nice out and everybody had the same idea at the same time. So it was like, okay, I'm walking down the sidewalk and there's 60 people coming towards me. So I'm out in the middle of the street now and let's hope I don't get hit. But it was just ridiculous because there were so many people out. The route I normally take, there's a block up behind me that's got super, super huge houses. And there's not a lot of traffic. It's a circle. So what I normally do is I go a few times around the block there. But the other day I was just like, I want something different. So I went down some other streets which all had sidewalks. This one little block up here doesn't have sidewalks. And of course, those were the really busy streets where all the people were. So yeah, we didn't do that route again because too many people. And, I'm not checking my mail. Well, okay, I will look inside the mailbox because that only requires me to touch the key and pull the door open. But I'm not actually touching the mail. None of my neighbors we don't really talk to each other much, so there hasn't been any contact there. Haven't been to any stores. I went to physio yesterday, and the clinic is now closed until May 1st. We'll see how that goes. But I had my appointment on Tuesday. What day is this? Good God. Yeah, that was 2 days ago. Not yesterday, 2 days ago. So that was the day I went out for the walk, where there was all those people. But I've been going out for a walk every day just to keep myself sane and get some outside fresh air. But that's all we've been doing is go for a walk once a day. Been cooking all our meals. I'm a little annoyed because the shawarma restaurant right across the street from my house is open. It's not a drive-through. It's open. I'm a little... My son was like, please, can we go get shawarma? And I was like, no, we can't go get shawarma. My 21-year-old son was like, please, please. No, we can't go get shawarma. Just trying to stay home and not come in contact with other people. When I dropped my ex's groceries off, I didn't pack them. They were packed in, I put them in my trunk. And when I got there, I just popped the trunk and he got them out and that was it. Didn't come in contact with each other and we're trying to do our best. No more dinners at Mom's on Sundays because too much contact. I was so mad at my son last week. I was at work one night and I came home to a note that said that he had gone to his best friend's house. And I was like, what, you dummy? So when I went and picked him up a couple of days later, I said, look, you go to Kyle's again, you're staying there for the duration of the quarantine. So he's like, I won't go to Kyle's again. But it was just like, this kid's mom has people coming in and out all the time. There's a different car in her driveway every time I go over there. And, she's not keeping people from coming in the house. And yeah, I was just like, no, that's not a good place to go. Anyway, I'm babbling incessantly now. And I'm sure you would all like to get back to your lives and maybe you're knitting. So anyway, I will stop babbling. Hopefully this will not last too much longer, but I think we have at least another 3-4 weeks of this to look forward to. Stay sane. Do what you got to do. You know, if it requires watching old comedies from the 80s, then watch that. If it requires going out for a walk in the woods so that you can scream at nature, do that. If, you know, learn to bake bread, learn to spin, learn a new skill. It's a good time to focus on, you know, getting yourself together and just doing what makes you happy. I highly recommend Google Hangouts. I highly recommend Zoom. I have not used Microsoft Teams, but if you want to have time with other people, those are really good ways to do it. FaceTime people. You know, just because you can't see them face to face doesn't mean you can't see their faces. Um, just do what you got to do to be sane and be kind to one another. If you do venture out to the store, if you are doing errands for somebody, if you're doing your own errands, just be nice to each other. This sucks for everybody. Absolutely everybody. Anyway, deep breath. We'll get through it. Have a good week. Bye.